welcome to Beyond Studio Pilates. My name's Hannah, and today I want to take you through a Pilates workout that's really going to help you feel powerful and strong. So these are some of my favourite exercises when I just feel like I really need a bit of a pick-me-up. These are the exercises that I turn to make me feel strong, make my body feel strong and my mind feel strong. So I hope you really enjoy this workout. It's going to take you roughly 45 minutes to complete. Bringing your feet together, we're going to take those heels out, toes come out to meet them, and then we're just going to take a gentle rock backwards and forwards. So you're just moving the weight from your heel to your toe and back again. Feel free to pick your toes up off the floor and then pick your heels up off the floor. So just a little rock forward and back. And then you're going to gently bring yourself to a standstill where that weight is evenly balanced between your heel and your toe. Coming up to those knees, making sure they stay soft. So try not to push your kneecaps backwards. Think about having a slight soft knee. Then coming up to that pelvis. Thinking about it like a bucket. We're going to tip the water out of the back and out of the front. So you're just isolating the movement through your pelvis. Tipping it forward and tipping it back. And then bringing that to a standstill where that tailbone is pointing down towards the ground. Restack those vertebrae, grow towards the ceiling. Thinking about your pelvic floor, so internal sling of muscles holding everything in. Going to think about it a little bit like a lift. So we're going to get in our lift on floor 1, and then we're going to ride that lift up to floor 10. So feeling that internal squeeze from the back to the front. So everything engages, and it's all internal. So you shouldn't feel like you're squeezing your glutes or really tensing your upper body at all. It's an internal squeeze, holding it there and then releasing off from our 10th floor back to floor 1. And again, we're going to take that lift up to floor 10, holding it there, feel it from the front to the back, and then slowly with control letting it off. And final time up to floor 10, holding it there. And then this time with control, we're going to slowly let it back down until we get to that floor 2 or 3. And that's our 20 to 30% going to hold for the rest of the session. Next, thinking about that TVA. So your transverse abdominis is a big corset-like muscle that's underneath your rectus abdominis, the six-pack muscle, which is on top. So we're going to think about it like a belt. Put on that big belt, draw that belt up to the 10th hole. So you should feel your waist getting smaller, belly button moving towards your spine, holding it there for me, and then slowly with control letting it off. And then one more time, we're going to take it up to the 10th hole. So waist gets smaller, belly button moves towards your spine. And then this time with control, we're going to slowly let it back out until we get to that notch 2 or 3. And that's our 20 to 30% we want to hold for the rest of the session. Next, thinking about your ribs. So the bottom of your rib cage should be in line with the top of your hips. So make sure your ribs aren't jutting forward. Think about pulling your ribs down so they're in line with your hips. That's going to help with that core engagement as well. From here, you're just going to take your right ear to your right shoulder and then just take it on a nice gentle circle round to the left hand side and then back to the right. So we're just mobilizing through your neck, nice slow controlled roll of that neck, don't overdo it. And then this time we're going to stay on the left hand side and you're going to think about your right hand. So you're going to bring your right hand so your fingers are facing forward, palm is facing down, and then we're just going to switch. So palm up, fingers back, palm down, fingers forward. So just little movements of that right wrist. And then bringing that hand back down, you're going to take your head round to the right hand side. So right ear to right shoulder, left hand, fingers forward, palm down, fingers backward, palm up. So just a little movement of that wrist. And you might feel that in your neck. So we're just working through that neck. 2 more here. And final one. And then bring your head back to the middle. You're going to bring your chin to your chest, then you're going to bring your head up so it's sitting on top of your shoulders, and then you're going to take your chin to the ceiling. Now when you do that, your mouth probably will just fall open naturally. Just let your jaw relax, don't feel like you're holding it in place. Then we're going to come back to the middle and then chin to chest. So we're going middle, up, middle, chin to chest. 2 more like this, keeping everything else nice and still. Final 1. And then bringing your head so it's sitting on top of your shoulders, taking 3 rolls of those shoulders backwards. And then 3 rolls of those shoulders forwards. Then from there, you're going to interlace your fingers, bring your hands above your head. Check when you've done that your ribs are still in line with your hips and they've not jutted forward. So it can mean that you arch your back. So really focus on that rib to hip connection, pelvic floor on, and we're just mobilizing through that upper body. So this is a really nice exercise for your upper back and shoulder. And then we're going to take it in the other direction. And then coming back to the middle. Now you're going to let your back and core get involved. So we're taking it on a bigger circle, keeping it nice and slow and controlled. So we're still warming up at the moment, but we've started to make the movements bigger. And taking it in the other direction. Keeping that core engaged, pelvic floor on, so we're still on notch 3 of that belt and floor 3 of that lift. Final circle here. And then coming back to the top and stretching your arms up and away. From here, you're going to bring your hands up in front of you. So palms are facing, elbow and shoulder are in a line. Then from here, you're going to take your elbows out so they're in line with your shoulders at the side. You're going to imagine you have a big spring between your hands, and we're going to push that big spring back together and then just gently let those arms open up. So we're just kind of simulating a chest press, but just with body weight. So really focus on that big spring as you pull your arms back together. Feel the kind of work that your arms are doing to bring them back to the middle. 3 more here. Try and keep your elbows in line with your shoulders. Try not to let them drop down any lower. Final 1. And then bringing those arms back down. And we're going to move on to our lower half. So, going to start with just a gentle movement of your opposite arm and leg. So feet are either directly underneath you, so hip width apart, or slightly wider if you feel like you need a bit of a bigger base of support. So make sure you're feeling comfortable with your feet where they are. Then from here, you're going to slowly peel your right foot off the floor and lift that right leg up. At the same time, you're going to lift your left arm into the air. You can bring your right arm behind you if you want to. And then you're going to swap arms, bring that foot back to the floor, and you're going to change to the other leg. So left leg is now up, and then we're going to change back. Now, as you change, I want you to try and keep the movement as small as possible. Obviously, there will be a little bit of rock to the side, but I want you to try and avoid rocking your whole body. So you're not swaying from leg to leg, you're trying to keep control of that movement. So you bring that leg up, slowly place that leg back to the floor, and then swap. So there will be a bit of movement, obviously, but trying to keep that movement as controlled as you can. So it's a bit like we're sprinting on the spot. The next thing I want you to think about is as you lift that leg, trying to keep your knee in line with your hip as it goes up and as it comes down. So nice controlled movement. Core engaged, standing tall. Final 1 to each side. And final time. And then bringing both feet back to the floor. From here, you're going to take your right foot out to the side. So you're onto kind of the big toe of your right foot. Check that you're not locking out through that left knee. Then from here, you're going to bring your left hand to the back or the side of your head. You're not pulling on your head, you're just holding it there as a kind of support. Right arm comes behind your right leg. Then from here, you're going to rotate through your mid-spine, bring your elbow to the middle of your body, and at the same time, you're going to pick up your right knee and bring your right knee to the middle. So you're trying to get your elbow and knee in a line in the middle, and then we're going to move back to the side. So you're going to come up and back. Now, try not to use momentum to get yourself up and down. Try and keep the movement slow and controlled. Think about growing towards the ceiling. Make sure that rotation comes through your mid-spine. So your spine, whoop, little wobble. Your spine is rotating to the side through that mid-section. So thoracic spine moves. Doing 2 more here. And final one. And then coming back down, swapping to the other side. So move your weight into the right leg, left big toe to the floor, right hand to your head. Take your left hand behind you so it's out of the way. Bring that chest round and then step that leg in and out. I always find the first one is kind of tricky until you find where that balance point is, and then you can kind of get into a better rhythm. Really stretch out through that leg as you place it back to the floor. Be mindful of where your rotation is coming from, so make sure you're rotating through that mid-spine. Core engaged, standing tall. 2 more here. And final one. And bring yourself back to standing. From here, you're going to take your right leg behind your left leg. So swing it round so it's to the left-hand side of your body. Make sure you're comfortable, so find a place where it feels comfy. So don't take it all the way over here if you then feel like you can't move, because we're going to do a curtsy squat. So from here, you're going to come down towards the floor, bring your arms up in front of you. And then I want you to imagine there's something under your hands. You're trying to push it into the floor. So you're going to push those arms back down and bring your arms behind you. Then we're going to come back again. So we're going to come down and then push back, down, and then push back. 3 more here. Doing really well. Keep pushing that heavy or hard thing into the floor. Really push it back. Keep standing tall, so try not to lean forward as you go down. Final one. Okay, now we're going to open up at the top as well. So we're going to come down, push back, but open up. Come back, and then push back and open up. So one arm is kind of flowing backwards. I've lost my arms now. Down and to the side. Back, down, and to the side. So you're rotating towards that back leg. And once you get in a rhythm, it then makes a lot of sense. Until you get there, it feels a bit tricky. Final 2 here. So this is really good for working into your legs. I'm just adding in a bit of coordination with that upper body as well. Final 1. And then coming back to standing. Give those legs a little wiggle if they need it. And we're going to do the other side. So feet are back underneath you. Take your right leg this time to behind your left leg again. Check that you're not overdoing it stretch wise. And then we're going to come down and then push back. Come down and then push back. Pelvic floor on, core engaged. Should be that way around. Knew it felt weird. And 2 more here. So as you come back up, try and come straight up. Try not to deviate to the side. So this time we're going to open up through that chest. So as you come up, open to the side. Then as you come back down, bring those arms back to the middle. And once you get into a rhythm, it makes total sense. Keep thinking belly button to spine. Core engage, still pushing with your hands down to the floor. So imagine there's some weight behind that hand, 2 here, and then final 1. And then just coming back up, give those legs a little wiggle. And from here, we're going to roll down to the mat. So we're going to use roll down to get to the mat because it's a really nice mobility exercise for your spine. We're going to do 2 roll downs, and we're going to do them just in our normal standing position. So feet are underneath you, knees are soft, pelvis tilted, so that tailbone is down at the floor. Restack those vertebrae and then tucking your chin to your chest. On your next exhale, slowly rolling towards the mat. So as you're rolling down, check in with your arms. Remember, they should just be hanging, doing their own thing. Don't feel like you're holding them in place. When you get to the bottom, you're going to take an inhale. Then you're going to exhale. Tuck your pelvis back underneath. You keep your ribs connected to your hips. Pelvic floor engaged, and slowly restack back to standing. Remember, your shoulders should be in place. You shouldn't feel like you've got to roll your shoulders backwards. Head comes up. Going to do 1 more. This time we will stay at the mat. So we're inhaling here. Exhale, tucking that chin, leading with the crown of your head, slowly rolling down. Arms are just hanging by your sides. Don't feel like you're holding them in place. And this time, when you get to the bottom, you're going to bend your knees and bring yourself down to the floor. Okay. So once you're at the floor, we're going to do a 4-point kneeling exercise called glute press. So this is really good for building strength in your hips and your glutes. If you find that being on your wrists is uncomfortable, you can either create a fist or put something softer under your wrist. A towel or a bit of rolled up mat are the best, so you can kind of make a like a different shape with your hand, so that just takes some of that pressure off your wrist joint. So next we need to get into a good box position. So your wrist should be under your shoulder, your knee is under your hip, and then you're going to tilt your pelvis so it's back in neutral, tailbone is pointing off behind you. Core engaged, check where your ribs are again, so make sure they haven't jutted down. Keep that all in place. Eye line stays down between your hands, and then from here you're going to lift your right leg into our glute press position. Check where your hip is, so make sure your hip hasn't hitched. Core engaged, holding still, and then you're just going to push your foot to the ceiling. Little pushes, so don't try and make a really big movement. It needs to be nice and slow and controlled. Everything else stays nice and stable, so core is keeping your trunk stable, eye line down between your hands. We're going to do 4 more here. 2 and 1. Okay, holding that knee there. Now you're going to just gently guide that knee over to the left hand side. Now as you're doing this, make sure you're not turning your body, so keep your trunk stable. Core is on, and we're just pushing that knee over to the left hand side. You should start to feel this in the side of your glutes. And final 3, doing really well. Shoulder blades sliding down your back. Remember, don't bring your shoulders up to say hi to your ears. 2 and final 1. Then you're going to bring that knee down. Don't place it on the floor yet. Hover with that knee, and then we're going to push out to the side. Again, check in with your core, so keeping your body nice and still as you move through that leg. And 4 more here. 2 and one, and then bringing that leg gently back down. Check that your knee is under your hip, core engaged. We're going to do the other side, so lifting that left leg up, foot to the ceiling. Check your hip, so make sure you haven't hip hitched. Hips stay stacked, and then we're pushing to the ceiling. So it's just a gentle raise. Don't feel like you're raising so much that you're arching your back. Your back and core are staying nice and still, and the movement is just coming through that glute. 4 more here. Shoulder blades sliding down your back. Careful those shoulders aren't coming up near your ears. 2, 1. Then holding that leg in place, just sliding it to the right hand side. Try not to turn through your body, so think about that core, keeping your trunk really stable. Make sure you're breathing, so just breathing however naturally feels comfortable for you at the moment, but thinking about breathing through your nose, inhaling through your nose, exhaling through your mouth, trying to make your exhale longer than your inhale. Final 2 here, and final 1, and then bringing that leg back down, hovering it off the floor, core engaged, taking it out to the side, so knee to the side, keeping your pelvis still. So just your leg is moving. It's not a very big movement, particularly, depending on how flexible your hips are, will depend on how high you can take that leg, but just try and control the movement, keep your core stabilizing your whole body. 3 more here, 2, and 1, and then bring that knee gently back down. Coming off your wrists for a moment, we're going to do another set, but we're going to do a slightly shorter set, and if you need to at any point you can also reduce the number yourself. But a little wrist stretch for you. If you bring your fingertips together and then just push your fingers out, so you're really extending through those fingers, just a lovely way of stretching out your wrists. This is good if you've ever suffered from carpal tunnel. This is a good recovery from that. 2 more here, and final 1. Okay, then coming back into our 4-point kneeling position. So check in with your wrist. Remember, it should be under your shoulder, knee under your hip, pelvis tilted so that tailbone is pointing off towards the back wall, eye line down at the floor. Core engaged, pelvic floor on, lifting that leg up. Check where your hip is, so remember, no hip hitching. Core stays engaged, and then we're pushing to the ceiling. So this time we're doing 7. Nice, slow, controlled movement. 3 to go. Then holding that leg there, sliding it gently to the left hand side. Remember, keep your core engaged. Make sure you're not twisting your body to the side. 3 more here. Eye line stays down between your hands. And 1. Then bringing that leg down, hovering that knee off the floor, and then we're just taking it out to the side. So you should feel that working through your glutes. Pelvic floor on, core on. And final 1. 7 always goes so much quicker than 10, even though it's only like 3 less. Just seems so much quicker. So holding this position, other side, nearly there, doing really, really well. Lifting that leg up. Hips stay stacked, core on, and push to the ceiling. 2, 1. Holding that knee, gently sliding to the right hand side. Remember, keep your trunk stable. Ribs in line with your hips, scooping up that pelvic floor front to back. Then bringing that leg in line, core engaged, out to the side. and 2, and 1, and then bringing that knee down. From here, you're going to walk your hands around one pace to the right. So if you take your left hand, place it so it's almost in line with your right hand, move your right hand out to the right hand side, then just bring your left hand back so your hands are under your shoulders. From here, we're going to go back into our child's pose, but with a nice stretch to that side. So you're just going to bring your bum back so you're sitting on your feet, and then you're just going to push yourself back up so that you're into your box position. So we're just going to go down and back, down and back, feeling that stretch through your side. We're going to do 2 more here, and then we're going to hold that stretch. So final one here. So this time, staying down, you might want to move your hands around a little bit more if you want a deeper stretch, getting hold of your left hand and just giving it a little bit of a pull so you can really feel that stretch in the left hand side of your back. Then you're going to walk your hands back to the middle. Find where the middle is, and then again, think about putting your right hand on top of your left hand, move your left hand to the side so you're one pace out to the left. And then again, we're going to come up. So you're now bending to the left hand side. Think about your shoulder blades sliding down your back, so make sure your shoulders aren't coming up to say hi to your ears. Core engaged, pelvic floor on. If you need a little bit more stretch, you can always just move your hands further to the left. Just don't overdo it to start with. It's better to start with a light stretch and then increase it than start with something that feels really uncomfortable. So we're just stretching out through those muscles in your back. We're going to do 1 more here. So now we're going to stay sitting. You can move your hands around a bit further if you want to. Get hold of that right hand with your left hand and then just stretch out through that right hand side of your back, holding it there. Make sure you're breathing while you stretch. And then walking your hands back to the middle, and we're going to come on to our backs next. So making sure you've got something to have under your head if you need it for your neck. And then you're going to come down onto your mat. Making sure that you get your setup correct first. So thinking about your knees, feet, and hips being in alignment. Then thinking about your pelvis. So pelvis in neutral. If you put your fingers on your pubic bone, palms on your hip bones, your hands should be in a line. So if you tilted your pelvis back, your fingers would then be pointing towards the ceiling. If you tilted your pelvis so you arched your back away from the floor, your fingers would be pointing down towards the floor. So getting it so you're in neutral, so hands are level. Next, thinking about that rib to hip connection. So again, ribs sometimes are flaring towards the ceiling. Pull your ribs down so they're in line with your hips. So keep hold of that rib to hip connection, engage those core muscles, and that little gap remains under your low back. From here, we're going to bring both arms up into the air, and you're going to bring both legs into your tabletop position. Knees over your hips, shins parallel with the ceiling. You're going to imagine you've got an elastic band from your right hand to your left knee, left hand to your right knee, keeping your back and core in, keeping your back in the position it's in, core engaged. You're going to take an inhale and then exhale, stretch your opposite arm and leg out. Hold it here for an inhale, and then exhale, slide it back to the center. Hold for an inhale, and then exhale, slide the other side out. Hold for an inhale, and then exhale, slide it back to the center. So this is a really powerful core exercise called dead bug. If you need to, at any point, you can put a leg down and do one side at a time. So take one side out, swap legs, take the other side out, come back to middle and swap legs. So if you need to, go to alternating legs. The other way you can make life slightly easier is don't take your leg quite so far away. So think about that opposite arm and leg moving not so far, and then bring them back in. If you need to make it harder, you take that leg closer to the floor. Hold it for an inhale, and then exhale, slide them back in. So try and hold the movement for an inhale, and then exhale, bring yourself back to the center so you're not rushing that movement. And we're going to do another 2 on each side, really stretching out through that arm and leg, and then resisting that elastic band as you bring them back to the center. So make sure you're not rushing back to the middle. Check in with your opposite knee if you've got both legs in your tabletop position. Make sure that knee isn't moving closer to your body to compensate for that leg moving away. Final one to each side here. Okay, then from here you're going to bring one leg down and 2 legs down, and then bring your arms down so they're slightly further away from your body. Then, option 1, you're going to bring your ankles and knees together. Take an inhale in the middle, and then exhale, let your knees fall over to the left hand side. Now your hip can come off the floor, your feet can roll off the floor, but your shoulder blade must stay on the floor. Holding it here for an inhale, and then exhale, bring it back to the center. Holding in the middle for an inhale, and then exhale. Other side. Holding for an inhale, and then exhale, come back to the middle. If you want to, take your feet, this is option 2, take your feet so they're slightly wider apart, so hip distance. Take an inhale in the middle. Exhale. Now as you roll, your knees will go to different places. Same idea, we're really just mobilizing through those hips, holding for an inhale, and then exhale, bring it back to the center. Hold in the middle for an inhale, and then exhale, slowly moving to the other side. Shoulder blade stays in connection with the floor. On your next exhale, back to the center. So you can pick which one you want to do, and we're going to do 2 more to each side. So this is just a nice exercise for mobilizing through your pelvis and into your lower back. I'm going to do 1 more to each side, holding it for an inhale, and then exhale slowly back to the middle. Really using your obliques to get you back to the center. From here, going to bring those arms in so they're a little bit closer to your body, and you're going to take your right leg out long along the floor. So right leg is just resting on the floor. Check in with your pelvis, so make sure you haven't rolled in or away from that leg. So try and keep everything in neutral. Going to bring your left leg into your body and just hug that knee in. Then we're just going to do a little bounce. So you're just going to bring that leg in, hug it, and then let it just move out. So everyone will probably be moving at a different rate. We're going to do 2 more. And final 1. This time you're going to hug that knee in and just guide that knee into the center of your body, holding it there for me. Then you're going to roll that knee out, and this time you're going to roll that knee out so it's coming out to the left hand side, so you should feel that stretch in your groin. If you need to, take your right arm further away from your body to counterbalance that leg. Try and keep your pelvis neutral, so try not to roll too far to the left. Let the movement come through your leg. Then from here, you're going to bring that leg back to the middle, keep that knee bent. You're going to take your left hand on the inside of your left leg and try and get hold of your left foot. And then you're going to push your left foot to the ceiling, keep hold of your foot. So you're just pushing your foot to the ceiling and your hand is pulling it down. So there might be a bit of movement because your muscles are working against each other, holding it there. Then from here, you're going to just gently bring your left foot down and lie it over your right leg. Bring it so that your ankle is above your knee, just laying on top of your leg. Arms come out to the sides for some support, core engaged, pelvic floor on. And you're just going to slowly lift your legs up so your right foot is pointing at the ceiling, and then slowly lower those legs back to the floor. Core engaged, check that you're not letting your back arch or your belly dome. If you need to, as you come back down, you can come down onto a flat foot instead of taking your leg all the way to the floor, if that's easier. So you'll come up, go back to a flat foot, come up, go back to a flat foot. So pick what works for you. That would be option 1. Option 2 would be keeping that leg straight, and you're just moving that leg up and down. Keep your left leg crossed across. Make sure that you're not letting that back arch or belly dome. This is quite a strong core exercise, so if you're finding it a bit tricky, just go back to that flat foot and then scoop that leg back up. This is also really good for just opening up through that hip. We're going to do 2 more here. So final one here. This time you're going to keep that leg in the air. Going to bring that left leg off. Oh no, sorry, you're going to keep that left leg on. You're going to bend your right leg, bring your right leg towards you and push your left knee out with your left hand, or interlace your fingers behind your right leg and push your left knee out with your left elbow. So we've gone into our figure 4 IT stretch. Make sure you're breathing into your stretches, don't hold your breath. Then from here you're going to extend your right leg back to the ceiling, bring your left leg up so it's also extended to the ceiling. Take your left leg down to the floor and then bend your right leg, hug that right leg in, and we're starting the process on the other side. So just gentle rocks, bringing that leg in and out, keeping your pelvis in neutral, so make sure you're not flattening your back off into the floor. Then from here, this time you're going to hug that knee in and just gently bring it to the middle of your body. You should feel that stretch in the front of your leg, holding it there. Then you're going to bring that leg back to the middle and then just bring that leg out to the right hand side. So you get that stretch through your groin. Again, you can bring your left hand to the floor so that you can counterbalance that weight if you need it. Then you're going to bring that knee back to the middle. Take your right hand on the inside of your right leg. Grab hold of the bottom of your right foot. Push your foot to the ceiling and pull your arm back down into your shoulder joint. So your arm and leg are working against each other. Hold it there. Feel that stretch in your hamstring. You can give that a bit of a rub as well. If you can feel any kind of knots or anything in there, So this is a good time to kind of maybe give that a bit of work. Then from here, you just gently bring that right leg down and lay it over your left leg. Make sure your ankle bone is above your knee and not on your leg. Core engaged, pelvic floor on, rib to hip, arms are just gently resting on the floor, and you're going to lift that leg up. So remember, your options then are to come back to a flat foot and then slide that leg back up and out. Think about pushing that right knee up. Or you can take that leg all the way to the floor for a deeper core exercise. So you just take that leg up and down. Check in with that rib to hip connection. Don't let that back arch or belly dome. You can come down to a foot if you need to. So you could do a couple of each if you were finding that it's all right and then it's not all right. We're going to do 4 more. Doing really well, everyone. Well done. This is a strong core exercise. Make sure you're not letting that back arch or belly dome. Get that nice hip stretch as well. Final 2 here. So this time, no, not this time, next time, going to stay in the air. So this time, leg stays up. Bend that left leg. Either pushing with your right hand into your right knee, or interlacing those fingers and pushing your right knee out with your right elbow, holding it there for me. Holding there a little bit longer. Then you're going to bring both feet back to flat on the floor. And you're going to bring your arms up into the air. You're going to tuck your chin to your chest on your exhale and then roll yourself back up to sitting. Now, if you know that won't work for you today, then just finding your way back to sitting, however works for you. Going to do 1 more little exercise before we move on to our final stretches. So you're going to come down onto your elbow. Make sure your elbow is kind of under your shoulder and not really far back. That's going to put a lot of pressure on that shoulder joint. Next, thinking about your pelvis. So find that tailbone, stick it to the floor. Make sure you're not rolling your pelvis backwards. Core engaged, ribs to hip, pelvic floor on, fingertips are facing down towards your feet. Going to bring both legs into our tabletop position. So your knee is over your hip, shin parallel with the ceiling. From here, we're just going to do a simple toe tap. Make sure you're not slouching, so think about growing out of your shoulders. Just going to move one leg to the floor and then bring it back up. Other leg to the floor and then bring it back up. As you go, check that that opposite knee isn't trying to move closer. It should be staying still, and you should really feel this working your core. So this is a really simple exercise, but it's a really effective exercise for working your entire core. If you need to, at any point, you can just bring one leg down and do one leg at a time. Keep thinking belly button to spine, pelvic floor engaged, core is on. And we're going to do 2 more taps to each side. So this is our final tap and tap. And then bring one leg down and 2 legs down, and you can bring yourself back up to sitting. Going to bring your feet out so you're sitting in a diamond shape. Make sure you're sitting on those sit bones, so try not to lean back. If you find that you are leaning back, it might be that you've got tight hamstrings. Try sitting on a book the size of Harry Potter, or if you've got a big grey block, that would be really useful as well. From here, your left hand goes under your left knee. You're going to move your right shoulder away, and then you're going to bring your right fingertips up and over towards your left toes. So this is stretching out through your QL, so you should feel it in your lower back on the right hand side. Holding it there for me, breathing into your stretches. Then you're going to bring that arm back up. We're going to change to the other side. So right palm under your right knee, move your left shoulder away, bring that left hand up and over, guiding fingers towards your toes, holding it there. And then coming back up. And then final stretch, going to do a pigeon stretch. So come into sitting, roll your weight forward so you're into your box position. Then from your box position, you're going to bring your left knee forward so it's behind your left hand, and then just guide your left foot so that it's behind your right hand. Then just gently sliding that left leg back to wherever you can feel it. So you might find that you want to stay up here, that might be enough for you. You might want to come down onto your elbows, you might want to bring your arms out in front. Take it to where you feel comfortable. This is your stretch. You work to where you feel comfy today. I'm going to here. Holding it there. Wherever you are, make sure your head is in alignment. So think about your neck. So if you are here, don't have your head up looking at me. I'll let you know when we're moving on. See if you can just melt into that stretch a little bit more. Then tucking that back toe, bring your hands up, push with that back leg, bring yourself into your high plank position. Then you're going to bring your right knee forward so it's behind your right hand, guide that right foot so it's behind your left hand, and slide that left leg back again, picking your position. So you might be up here, you might be down here, you might be even further down. Have it where you feel comfortable, but you can feel that stretch in your hip. Try and melt into that stretch a little bit more. And then from here, tucking those back toes, bring your hands back up again, pushing yourself back into your high plank position. This time you're going to bring both knees to the floor and find your way to sitting. So either sitting in cross-legged or in diamond if that's more comfortable. Final stretch, and then I promise you can go. Left hand to your right knee, bring your right hand behind you, just rotate through that spine. Make sure you're growing towards the ceiling, so don't kind of shy away from it. Hold it there. Then other way, so right hand to left knee, left hand behind you, sitting up tall, stretch to the side. And then coming back to the middle, and we're going to leave it there for today. Thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed today's class.